going to be talking about Chicken Sunday. It's a book by Patricia Polacco, and we'll be reading some other books by Patricia Polacco as well. But I want you to be thinking about text-to-text connections as we read this book. Okay? Here we go. Chicken Sunday. Stuart and Winston were my neighbors. They were my brothers by solemn ceremony. We had performed it in the backyard one summer. They weren't the same religion as I was. They were Baptists. Their grandma, Eula May Walker, was my grandma now, my babushka. She had died 2 summers before. Sometimes my mother let me go to church on Sunday with them. How we loved to hear Miss Eula sing. She had a voice like slow thunder and a sweet rain. We'd walk to church and back. She'd take my hand as we crossed College Avenue. Even though we've been churching up like decent folks ought to, she'd say, I don't want you to stop in front of one of those 2 fast cars. You'll be flat as hen's tongue. She squeezed my hand. When we passed Mr. Kolsky's hat shop, Miss Eula would say, always stop and look in the window at the wonderful hats. Then she'd sigh, and we'd walk on. Text-to-text connection? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yesterday my dad told me a story about this guy out his work. He looked out the window and he was having like some sort of seizure. And he like fell on the bricks and the ambulance had when it said that she died.
So Eula died. It reminded you.
It's not mine. I don't have it anymore.
A man who died and was featured on the newspaper, right?
Well, I read.
Your dad read about it?
No, like he saw it.
Oh. So that would be a text-to-self connection, right?
He saw what?
Careful. Careful. We're looking for text-to-text connections.
I'm better at text.
These are hard. These are harder than text-to-self. We've got those down with our eyes closed. These are hard. Any other text-to-text? We called those Sundays Chicken Sundays because Miss Eula almost always fried chicken for dinner. There'd be collard greens with bacon, a big pot of hoppin' john, corn on the cob, and fried spoon bread. One Sunday at the table, we watched her paper fan flutter back and forth, pulling moist chicken fried air along with it. She took a deep breath. Her skin glowed as she smiled. Then she told us something we already knew. The Easter bonnet in Mr. Kolsky's window is the most beautiful I ever did see, she said thoughtfully. The 3 of us exchanged looks. We wanted to get her that hat more than anything in the world.
Why did I
Shh. You'll find all of those questions out, I hope, in the book. Sometimes we answer those questions. I think we already did. What did you say to her? Because they eat fried chicken on Sundays. I have a text-to-text connection. Do you have one?
No, I'm just saying, like, are they talking about, like, the girl in the picture, the tall black woman, are they talking about her? Is that the woman that died?
Hats in the window for sale reminds me, I don't really know why, but of the book, Hats for Sale. Or, I'm sorry, Cats for Sale.
Oh, I love that book.
Okay. It reminds me of that. Have another text-to-text?
No.
Oh, I'm looking for text-to-text. Stuart reached into the hole in his pocket into the trunk of our wish tree in the backyard. He pulled out a rusty Band-Aid tin. The 3 of us held our breath as we counted that money inside that we had been saving for weeks. If we're going to get that hat for Miss Eula in time for Easter, we're going to need a lot more than this, I announced. Maybe we should have asked Mr. Kotsky if we could sweep up his shop or something to earn the rest of the money, Stuart said. I don't know, Winnie said fearfully. He's such a strange old man. He never smiles at anyone. He always looks so mean. We all agreed that it was worth a try. Anyway. Any other text-to-text connection? Text-to-text?
It reminds me of, like,
Okay, and so is this a text-to-text connection? What is it that you're giving me? Text-to-self. You have lots of great text-to-self connections, but I'm looking for a text-to-text. They're harder to think of. Okay. That's why we're going to read a bunch of books by Patricia Placco, because I think as we read along, we might have some more text-to-text connections just based in her series of books. They're not a series, but many books. The next day, we took a shortcut down the alley in the back of the hat shop. Bigger boys were there. They were yelling. Eggs flew past us and pelted Mr. Klotzy's back door. Just as the boys ran away, the door flew open. Mr. Klotsky glared at us, straight at us. "You there!" he yelled. "Why do you kids do things like this?" "It wasn't us," Stuart tried to say, but Mr. Klotsky wouldn't listen to us. "All I want to do is live my life in peace. I'm calling your grandmother," he shouted, and he wagged his finger in Stuart's face. Anyone ever read a book about kids getting in trouble for egging someone?
Egging.
What's the book? Do you remember? Egging's when you throw eggs.
To text to self.
Oh, text to self. Text to text?
Mhm.
What?
There is a book like the Berenstain Bears because in Halloween because they throw eggs
Beautiful.
at somebody's house. Oh, it's not. It's a text to self, but it's really bad.
Excuse me. What happened as a result of them throwing the eggs?
They got in trouble.
Do you think these kids are getting in trouble?
Yeah.
Does it remind you of that?
Wait, what's the bear book called?
Throwing eggs.
Okay. Now the text to text? I'm only looking for text to text.
So like, have you ever heard of Good Luck Charlie?
Say it one more time.
Good Luck Charlie.
Good luck, Charlie. Okay.
So
I'm looking for a book, not a TV show. Text to text?
Um,
These are harder. They're making you think.
it's a show, but it's a book. It's a book.
Give me the book's name.
It's called I Didn't Do.
I didn't do it.
That's just a show.
It's
No,
just-
it's a book too.
Yeah, it's a book.
Oh, it is.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
And this girl called her real name is Olivia Holtz, and she had sleepover with her friends, and she threw eggs and toilet paper.
At somebody's house.
That's an inappropriate book. That's an inappropriate show.
Okay, so what happened when they did that? After they did that?
They didn't know that there was a camera.
So they got what?
So they got arrested.
What?
They actually did get arrested.
Okay, so they got into trouble. Common theme. Wonder what's going to happen. Miss Eula was waiting in her living room for us. Miss Eula, we didn't throw those eggs I sobbed. Some big boys did, Stuart sputtered. What were you doing in the back of the shop in the first place, she asked. We knew that we couldn't tell her the truth, so we just stood there and cried. She looked at us for a long time. Baby dears, I want to believe you. Heaven knows that I brought you up to be always telling the truth. If you say you didn't do it, then I believe you. It's too bad, though, she went on to say. That poor man has suffered so much in his life. He deserves more than eggs thrown at him. You know, he thinks you threw the eggs. You'll have to show him that you are good people. You'll have to change his mind somehow.
Is she the lady that died?
No, she's the one who took them in.
That's a she?
Yep.
Wait, she's the one that
This is Eula. Eula took care of it. South check? In my kitchen the next day, we thought and thought, how can we win him over when he thinks we threw those eggs, Stuart asked. He doesn't even like us, Winston chirped. Eggs, I said quietly. Eggs, said Stuart. Eggs, I screamed. I went to the kitchen drawer and took out a lump of beeswax, a candle, a small funnel, and a wooden handle, and some packets of yellow, red, and black dye. Text to text?
In one book in Berenstain Bears, they had a grandmother that didn't like them. And
Does the grandmother not like them? The grandmother passed away, right? In this book so far.
but the guy doesn't like it.
Okay. So in lots of other books, sometimes the problem, lots of other books, books. The problem in the story is that an adult doesn't like them or other characters. Text to text?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I forget what the book is.
That's okay. Keep going. We'll see if we can help you.
Okay, so these kids, they throw, their, like, they accidentally throw their baseball in a guy's window.
Oh, I know. But I don't know the.
Okay, go ahead.
And then
Let her speak.
the man gets really mad.
Forget that the whole first thing.
So sometimes we don't remember the name of the book, but what happened in that book, would you remember? Mom helped me show the boys how to decorate eggs the way my bubby had taught us, the way they do it in the old country. We made designs in the egg shells with hot wax, then dyed them and finally melted the wax patterns off. We put the eggs in a basket and even though we were afraid, marched to Mr. Klotsky's shop and put them on the counter. This reminds me of a book by Jan Brett. Do you know what that book is? What?
Easter?
Easter eggs, yep. She shows all beautiful books. I'll try to remember to bring it. They make beautiful Russian eggs. And I believe that that's what this little girl is talking about. Ukrainian eggs, Russian eggs. Text to text?
There is this book, and they were painting eggs, and then they hid them for Easter.
Oh, they hid them? Okay, so we can say
I don't know the name. Easter
decorated eggs
Easter egg cookies, and I was about to do that too.
for a hunt. He raised his eyebrows and glowered at us. Then his eyes dropped to the basket. Spasiba, he said softly. That means thank you in Russian. Pansky eggs, he said as he looked closely. I haven't seen these since I left my homeland. We didn't throw those eggs at your door, Mr. Klotsky. We told him. He looked at us for a minute. Well, then you must have great courage to be here. Courage. Then his eyes glistened and his mouth curled into a warm smile. Come have tea with me. Text to text?
I have a text yourself.
Text to text, what I'm looking for. We've done text to self. I know there's lots of things, and I love that you're having those text to self connections because we've been talking about those. Do they help you relate to the book?
Yeah.
They certainly do, but we're going to look specifically today for text to text. It's harder. We spent the whole afternoon talking together, having poppy seed cake and strong tea. He told us about his life. We told him about ours. When we finally got the courage to ask about doing odd jobs to earn some extra money, he apologized and told us that there was no work to be done. We didn't tell him that we wanted the money for what we wanted money for. It didn't seem the right thing to do. Our hearts sank. I tell you this, he said thoughtfully. These eggs are as beautiful as my hats. Stuart, Winnie, and I looked at each other. It's almost Easter, he went on to say. I'm sure that people would love these eggs. Set up a table and sell them right in my shop. For the next few days, we worked hard, very hard. We had almost made a dozen Pansky eggs. When people came in, they picked them up and said things like beautiful, splendid, intricate, gorgeous. We sold them all in a single day.
Wow.
That afternoon, when all the eggs were gone, we counted our money. We had more than enough for the hat. Just as we were about to tell Mr. Klotsky that we wanted to buy the hat, he came out from the back room holding a beautiful hat box, gift wrapped. Keep your money, children. Stage emotional because it's such a beautiful story. Keep your money, children, he said softly. I have seen Miss Eula admire this. It is for her, isn't it? I tell her that I know you are very good children, such good children. And my text is stuff that makes me very